Does someone you know have a problem? Don't we all? Maybe a little fresh air is all they need. Today, Shay, Irie, and I are getting ours on a mission to try and make table salt from scratch. I've always wanted to try and make one of those videos where people boil down ocean water and make sea salt, but then I realized why do that when I have access to an actual salt mine, basically in my backyard. Here in Camp Verde, just minutes from our home, is a massive salt deposit, one that's considered the oldest salt mine in the United States. Formed when an ancient lake dried up, indigenous people, including the Sonawa Indians, were working this deposit for thousands of years long before any European contact. Then, it was commercially mined in the early 1900s for rock salt, but by the late 1940s, production stopped when cheaper and more pure German salt became more readily available. Today our plan is to collect some of this salt ore and take it home and try to refine it. The salt's actually surprisingly easy to find. You don't really even have to dig, it's just right underneath the surface. Though if you do a little looking around and try to find the spots where people haven't gone before, you'll find some of the best salt crystals. Even Irie had a pretty easy time looking through the dirt and finding us quite a few crystals herself. I swear, the moment I look away, every time. After a little digging and hill punching, we decided we had enough and wanted to head out. In total, we gathered about 25 pounds of ore. On our way back, realizing the ground was quite literally splitting beneath us, we decided not to waste any time heading back to the car. Back home, we tried to get a better look at the crystals, and Irie got a much-needed bath. Quickly realized our plan to use a mortar and pestle wasn't going to cut it for 25 pounds of rock, so I started dinner while Shay and Irie cuddled up in the living room. The next day at work, after washing off the dirt, we were left with about 18 pounds. Look how clear some of these came out. Instead of breaking it up, I decided to dissolve it. I started with a half gallon of water and brought it to a boil. The first batch dissolved some, but I ended up filtering out the rest with a chinois and doing it again. Once the salt was in solution, I let the sediment sink to the bottom, then carefully poured off the top, trying to leave most of the mud behind. After that, I ran the solution through coffee filters, then back on the burner. We boiled off the majority of the water, and what we were left with was kind of a gritty off-white wet salt. I ended up having to chisel the salt off the sides using a screwdriver or meat tenderizer, but it worked okay. I added the pieces back in with the rest, dissolved it one last time, filtered it again, then poured the solution onto sanitized sheet pans. After just 2 hours, the crystals actually began to grow. The next morning, after draining the liquid, we were left with some pretty awesome full crystals, 4 pounds of finished product from the original 25. At this stage, the crystals still retained a little moisture. I was tired of waiting and tried to speed up the process by putting them in the oven, but that kind of just melted them back into solution, so I placed them back on trays and tried to be patient. After a couple days, we had full sheet pans of dry salt crystals, but it's not exactly table salt, which is usually around 99% sodium chloride. Ours, however, is only around 92%, with the remainder composed of sulfate materials like gypsum and sodium sulfate, which gives the salt a more light, salty flavor. One cool thing, though, is the salt's thermal conductivity. Because the rock salt's mixed with the sulfates, it quickly absorbs heat from your body, making them always feel cool to the touch.
It's cold. Yes, it's always cold. That's why it's so special.
So even though the salt isn't food grade, it's still perfect for use as bath salts, body scrubs, or high thermal deicer for walkways in the winter. I realize I don't really have a good way to end this, so okay, love you, bye.